Did Blake Lively, or even Taylor Swift, simply remove a good Blake Lively article off the internet by censoring TMZ? Applause. Greetings from Popcorn Planet. Andy Singer is who I am. We are in real time. I'm with It's Kim. Guys, we're already doing this. This one was kind of crazy, so I want to show you what Kim and I discovered. Kim created what is known as the headline doc earlier in the day, while she was simply giving an explanation to the audience. She is assisting me with the preparation of the story and the crucial bullet points. I may then go into everything else we do here, such as preparation stories or a live for you. And she does an excellent job. How long ago was it? Kim, you made this point a few hours ago. I think I discovered this particular link at 2:30. That was the period of time. Yes, the period of time I have recorded in my browser history. After that, she copied and pasted the pertinent material from the story, which was that Blake Lively responded to Travis and Jason Kelce by essentially showing her some love on the podcast. Rewinding a little, a review of Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants appeared out of nowhere on the New Heights YouTube channel. We'll discuss this in more detail in the live and elsewhere. Jason Kell, who is similar to our pal Blake Lively, was in it. Additionally, they were discussing the film and the review. Long story short, it turns out that TMZ updated it. It was discovered to be a re-upload from the previous year. So, this was something from a bygone era, such as before the drama occurred, correct? In March, it was re-uploaded for members only, but it's again available to everyone. However, this was something that aired before to the drama last year. Yes, indeed, both the New Heights podcast and their YouTube membership scheme appear to have undergone a modification. Yesterday, they made the announcement that they would be ending the program on their post tab. Therefore, everything that was essentially hidden behind the pay-W wall will be made publicly available to everyone. And that is most likely related to their agreement with Wondery Amazon. I think a $100 million podcast contract was reached last year. You are aware that they are in charge of distribution. I'm not sure why that decision was made, but it seems like one of the things, yes. Their movie reviews are one of the things behind the pay-W wall. And from what I could gather, it appears that the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants episode was the first one they did. We'll speculate as to why that was done on purpose. But for the time being, I want to concentrate on the shocking story of all of this as it happened. Kim also emphasized Blake Lively's response to Travis and Jason Kelce's podcast love in the document. According to a direct source of information who spoke to TMZ, Blake was pleasantly pleased by the remarks and valued the two's warm sentiments. Blake is aware that Sisterhood is one of her favorites and has a devoted fan base that obviously includes the brothers. The brothers' admiration follows Blake's covert display of devotion for Taylor. When she liked the superstar's Instagram post on the eve of the Showgirl painting that was released last week. In any case, it was the main point of the piece, which they repeated numerous times. However, there was a comment that seemed to come from a knowledgeable source, such as Leslie Sloan or Blake Lively, who was supposedly attempting to jump. The album doesn't really bully call out Blake, because it seems to have been written before the drama as well. So I'm assuming that someone in her camp jumped at the chance to use this for their own gain. It appears like Blake's team was deftly attempting to take advantage of the fact that many Taylor Swift fans are saying things like, "Oh, see, they are still friends. They don't get the real timeline of the Blake Lively drama," etc. However, this is when things truly took a strange turn. When we click on this article, I've saved the page and opened it because it was briefly visible in the Google cache. It is real, evidence that the article was authentic. Blake Lively is a friend of Travis and Jay Kelce's. We actually have another one. According to a knowledgeable source who spoke to TMZ, this was, I believe, Michelle screen capped her version, which even had a little bit more. Blake was pleasantly taken aback. This was the picture that was sort of there at one point, but now we're stuck because it disappears every time I try to click on it. In addition to being removed from TMZ, which it is, if you visit TMZ, all you have to do is click on Blake Lively issues. After that, the metadata on the link vanishes, and you can really get a link that I searched for. http Blake Lively reaction to Travis Kelce podcast mention. The link was that. You can search for it on your own. I've put it on the screen, so you may type it out if you'd like. However, this was erased entirely in about an hour. Now, I want you to realize that we have someone who could do that, like Tim. I asked 3 of my tech friends if it was that simple to do quickly, and they said, no, that's a pro. Either law firm, PR agency, somebody big got in there. And not only had TMZ remove it, which is shocking in and of itself, because TMZ is like censoring articles for Blake. Why would you just update it, like you did this one? Why would you completely remove it? Kim, it seems to me that they are acting in a reactionary manner, responding to Blake, or even Taylor herself, in order to discredit that narrative. And if it's true, I think that's really sinister. If accurate, TMZ usually won't completely remove an article, but I suppose they might have acknowledged they made a mistake, and that it was an outdated weapon, and that they could have fixed it. To view this new content, and the page source is available here, I've been attempting to see Blake's response and return to the same quotation. Blake was pleasantly surprised by the comments. Either Blake felt foolish, TMZ felt finished, and they kind of just removed the link. But even then, Kim removed it from Google Cache. Like, that's a deeper layer that's blowing my mind, which makes me personally object to my theory. You can share your theory since I know you think it's more likely to be TMZ or Blake, but I think Taylor Swift did it. Once more, tell me whether I'm crazy based on my theory and conjecture. Who else would be so popular on Google, social media, and other platforms? Taylor Swift would. She sort of reacted to Blake's comments after seeing them. Tree, or anyone on her team, might have said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa," in response to that. Kill that, Harvey. That is untrue. It's an outdated podcast. Get rid of it. Don't put us in touch with Blake. Stop. I'm there. My head went out there. Now, Kim, I suppose the other Blake Lively might have felt ashamed and thought, oh crap, we're trying to spin this into good press. And now we look dumb because we're celebrating that this was there and it's an old episode, which it took us 5 seconds to figure out. Well, or TMZ made a mistake. Where do you go, Kim? Who do you suppose is there? Even though I think Blake looks terrible in this, do you believe there was a planned cover-up? I'm not sure. It's probable, in my opinion, that TMZ just made a mistake by acting hastily and failing to thoroughly investigate everything. To be clear, when the video was released last night, I noticed that my notifications went through the roof, and that there was a lot of discussion on social media, with people saying things like, oh well, there it is. Since Travis would say it on a podcast now, we can be certain that they have reconciled. I'm thinking, why would he say that now? Because given what we know about the litigation, that doesn't really make sense. Apart from the question of whether or not Blake and Taylor are currently friends, which is acceptable, it would not be prudent for Travis to publicly discuss her while Taylor has been involved in this case. It would be a big statement, especially on a podcast like this. I just didn't understand it. After doing more research, I discovered that indeed, this is older. This dates back to October of last year. This isn't up to date. Additionally, it appears that the reason for the uploads is simply a change in the membership structure. You only receive a limited number of notifications each day as YouTubers. If you want people to know about it, you can only post a specific number of films per day. It must be spaced out. You also need to figure out how to use your new content. If you're trying to unmirror or unprivate all of these movies, it's sometimes a logistical nightmare. I began to wonder if TMZ had simply jumped the gun and posted something they shouldn't have. They published that after requesting a response from a representative or someone else. And then they realized, oh no, this is old. This isn't correct. It's difficult to check. Thus, we have to remove this. Yes. However, after realizing their error, they withdrew the item regarding Blake's response and, to their credit, corrected the other one. However, this is where I run into trouble, because once more, we have no idea who spoke on Blake's behalf. This could be someone who truly has no idea what they're talking about. I'm not sure. However, it is obvious that Blake would have been aware of that if they had read the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and acknowledged her. She would have been aware of their actions from the previous year. Why would she bring it up now? She doesn't appear to pay much for professionals. I don't think she would. I believe that she is now much more aware of Taylor and Travis than she was back then. I believe she only needs to do that at this point. I'm not surprised that it's not that. She is incredibly conceited. Oh wait, I thought as I watched her go lost. That was done a year ago by Travis Kelce's podcast. No, now that they are engaged, she is completely focused on Taylor and everything else. In any case, the theory might be correct. But since we're running out of time and will be delving further, I just wanted to review this. Guys, there is still much more to be done. However, I conducted a survey. Yes, 50% of you think Taylor did a great job. Why do most of you think Blake removed it herself? Whereas just 7% do the same. However, I don't think Kim has that type of pull anymore, which is my problem. I simply don't. I am aware that Blake and TMZ are sharing a bed. They are conspirators. According to reports, TMZ has done a lot of things for Blake. They were aware of my subpoena before I was, after all. We are aware of its veracity. So, if Blake wasn't the one who submitted it, how in the world did they obtain that information? Blake and TMZ are in cahoots, in my opinion. In one version, Blake might have said, TMZ stop. This actually doesn't seem good. Even so, why would TMZ take the chance of editing an article? Removing it is a big deal. As if they could change things. You could simply modify that to say, oh, you know she was happy. But it turns out it was an old episode, but it's still a link, so update it as though it's still a comment from Blake. We would have preserved it. Not that it's incorrect. You can tell she's responding to a quote from Blake. She has an egg on her face, in my opinion. I think that's a better justification. The world's greatest mastermind is Blake Pullett, also known as Taylor. Adore her, loathe her, and I do adore her, Kim. It's a good album. The CD appeals to me. I definitely see some pushback developing. And you know, things are the way they are. Taylor Swift cannot be cancelled. She will never stop. However, one complaint I may offer is that she seems to be a pretty upbeat mafia boss. She does seem to have that kind of influence. Few superstars are able to reconcile with their fans in this way. Furthermore, I don't believe it's done for evil purposes. However, if she wants to, she may have things shut down in that manner for press reasons. Thus, hypothetical once more. I'm not sure who accomplished this, but it's no longer there. It will be completely cleaned in about an hour, and I can assure you that getting it from the caches and everything so fast is more difficult. Someone was actually going in there to get it out on all these locations. After all, there are now a few small residual areas where you can see evidence of it. I'm recording all of this because I want to see the proof later. There are about 2 tweets. Will we create enough of a commotion to prevent them from wiping it? Or does this get cleaned? Do you understand what I mean? Yes, that's what I'm interested in. Additionally, it was mentioned in a recent report published by the Daily Mail. All of that is archived with me. It is now archived. The Daily Mail is available here. They mentioned that TMZ was the source. I mean, this really did exist before someone said, you know, it's it. It happened. It took place. I want to know what you people think. I'm not surprised at all by this. Furthermore, I don't think Justin pulled this one, which makes it quite strange. Justin, I don't think so. It simply presents both viewpoints. At least Blake's side is actively engaged in either a rehabilitation campaign or, a camp smear campaign. All of the press does that. And I think it's crucial that we draw attention to the fact that they were able to shut down TMZ with a tale like that, which purportedly stinks of power and manipulation. Maybe TMZ made a mistake and stole the L. It's F. For this reason, we're telling you that it might have also been that. However, I'm still surprised that they would take down a comment from Blake's sources without really speaking with Blake or someone higher up, and only Taylor would do it. To me, am I missing anyone else? As you consider, I'd like to see what the conversation our lives are just getting started. There is so much more for us to deconstruct. Thus, stay put. However, I wanted to review this at the beginning of the presentation in case a power outage or accidental closure of some of these links occurs. You've witnessed the evidence. It is evident that it exists. Are you as freaked out as I am?